So, hello everybody, this is Bhante, Joe here, and I'm just here at the top of the hill near the monastery, and thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. So I thought that could start with a little meditation, so I can lean forward a little bit and arch the spine, and look about 3 feet in front, and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in, and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And can focus in on the breath at the tip of the nose. And if notice any patterns of tension or tightness around the nose, around the face, can just let those relax. And can relax any patterns of tension around the cheeks, around the chin. And when watching the breath at the tip of the nose, can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. Being aware all the way through the in-breath. As the in-breath turns to the out-breath. All the way through the out-breath. And as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond. In every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. So hope that everybody is having a great day wherever it might be. And the sun is just setting here. So hope that everybody is having a great day wherever it might be. And just did a little position change to get behind get into some shade. The sun is setting. And so thought to do a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. And so was asked a question a while ago. In meditation, are there kind of benchmarks that one should be looking for? One should look for these benchmarks in one's practice. And also a follow-up question to that was, is there a kind of, or a prior question to that was, is there a kind of proper technique, like asking about techniques, how to practice with this technique? So basically, there are benchmarks that one is aiming for in one's Buddhist practice, and these benchmarks are listed in the canon in often kind of very clear ways. It's kind of, especially in meditation, one wants to use whatever object one is using to overcome the defilement that it's meant to counter. So if one is attempting to overcome lust, one wants to use a subha, and the yardstick of whether or not that's working is whether or not one sees one's lust diminish. If one wants to overcome anxiety, then one can use anapanasati, breath meditation. There's other meditations that work for that too, but basically one wants to slow down and stop thinking, or to counter whatever unwholesome quality it is that one is worried about. Oftentimes this anxiety can result from overthinking. So there's these, what you might call kind of benchmarks of benchmarks of kind of personality change, for lack of a better word, benchmarks of change in one's character that one can observe. And this is what you might call the kind of proximate goal of our meditation practice. We want to see our unwholesome qualities decrease and our wholesome qualities increase. And this is one of the things that makes meditation practice something that's not so difficult for one to gauge for oneself. Basically, if you ask most people, what do you think your flaws are? They can tick them off. Oh, I do this, maybe I get angry too much, or whatever it might be, or I'm this type of person, I have this defilement. And whatever that main defilement is that's causing one to suffer, that's where one can take up an appropriate meditation topic to try to counter it. And then off the cushion as well, one works to reduce the arising of this defilement in one's mind. And this is the way that these defilements lessen. So this is what you might call the proximate goal, or even not just proximate, it's something that is throughout. One always wants to be seeing whether or not these defilements in one's mind are lessening, and kind of lessening both when one meditates, both when one doesn't meditate, is kind of if one is working to overcome lust, is that diminishing? If one is working to overcome hatred, is that diminishing? And the Buddha sets very high benchmarks for these things in the canon. If one wants to overcome hatred, one should eliminate it, so that even if bandits saw one limb from limb, then one doesn't feel any anger or hatred towards them. If one is working to overcome lust, then as a non-returner, then one becomes incapable of the sexual act. And so basically these standards are very high, so one wants to work towards these standards, basically for the sake of moving forward in one's practice. These kind of standards, though, the ground that leads to them is these kind of gradual changes in personality. But then there's also these benchmarks that one might call kind of standards. So basically the Buddha recommends for everybody who's practicing to attain noble attainments or to move forward on his path towards Nibbana, to cultivate the 4 jhanas, to try to develop mindfulness to the point where it leads to the 4 jhanas, and kind of these 4 states of heightened awareness, of heightened what you might call pleasure, or one might call bliss, or heightened states of well-being that are very different from the normal states of well-being. So this is a benchmark that one can use to gauge one's meditation practice by. But this benchmark, the jhanas, there's kind of other benchmarks too. It's kind of the main benchmarks. These all have their end goals as what they call the noble attainments. Is one a stream enterer, is one a non-returner, or one a once returner, is one a non-returner, is one an arahant. And these are kind of noble attainments. These are things that are irreversible stages on the path. So the interesting thing about taking on these goals in one's meditation practice is that there's a way that one can take it on skillfully and a way that one can take it on unskillfully. If one starts meditating and becomes frustrated, thinking, I want to get jhanas, or I want to be a stream enterer, I want to be a once returner, I want to be a non-returner, I want to be an arahant, and one emphasizes one's desire for these things. One becomes impatient to achieve them. One becomes frustrated when one hasn't achieved them in the time frame that one wants. Then this is a way to block one's meditation progress, actually. This is the way that setting up standards in one's meditation can actually become a hindrance if they're held too tightly or held with too much frustration. So what most of the teachers recommend is that one, rather than having as one say, having as too strong of a goal, these kind of very standard, and of course these are goals that one wants to have, but in terms of having them as a goal that one becomes very anxious and impatient to achieve, then instead the teachers typically recommend to place one's emphasis on learning to develop gradually in these areas of reducing one's defilements, learning to pick out what defilements one has in the mind, gradually reduce them outside of practice when one is off the cushion. When one is on the cushion, learn to cultivate meditation topics that counter them. And these things feed into each other. Also learning to cultivate mindfulness throughout the day, always having this meditation topic is what they call the satipatthana, as the kind of the basis of one's mindfulness. So if one is using the breath, one gauges one's interactions with people in terms of the breath, how it's affecting the breath energy in the body. So this meditation topic is always there. Ideally, this meditation topic or another one, one's mind is never really just straying around to whatever might be pleasant or unpleasant. So if one gradually learns to move forward in these ways, one gradually learns to reduce one's defilements, one gradually learns to increase one's wholesome qualities, then these are ways that sometimes these higher goals can evolve naturally. It's kind of often like to use this simile of growing a fruit tree. It's kind of one waters it, one lets it grow, one hopes there's enough sunshine, and one adjusts the conditions. And so similarly, the Buddha compares, in some cases, the cultivation of his path to like a farmer. And kind of a farmer can't make the wish if he doesn't have psychic power, may my crops ripen tomorrow. And kind of they ripen as they will. And so in this way, it can be good to keep both these goals in mind, though, because if one totally drops having any goals at all, if one just wants to make it a goalless meditation where one doesn't have the jhanas as the goal, one doesn't have the noble attainments as the goal, one doesn't have the complete destruction of lust as a goal, the complete destruction of hatred as a goal, then one's meditation can be a little bit without bearing, without compass, and kind of one can get sidetracked into avenues that are not related to the higher goals. This is one potential. Another potential is that one can become satisfied or complacent with whatever progress one has. This is the danger that the Buddha warns about a lot. So one has to keep these proximate benchmarks in mind and to keep these higher goals in mind, the goals of what they call superhuman states, the jhanas, the noble attainments, the complete elimination of defilements in the mind. And as far as the proper technique that might get one there, this all depends quite a bit on a person's personality and what defilements are in the mind. The Buddha gives means of escape for various defilements that there are. And one can choose a topic that's appropriate to eliminating whatever defilements there are in one's mind. One chooses this topic well, it will seem like a good fit. One will tend to enjoy doing that topic more. It'll just seem like one's meditation goes more smoothly. And in this way, one can notice these gradual, what you might call proximate changes in one's character, in one's personality. And noticing those, if one keeps going along the path, then these things can grow. They can ripen into what they call the superhuman or supermundane levels of the Buddhist path. So the Buddha gives a simile about right view. It's kind of like if a log doesn't get caught on the near shore or the far shore, and I think doesn't kind of get taken out by human beings. There were several things that could happen to this log going down the river. Then it'll reach the ocean. And in the same way, similar way, as far as I remember that simile, if a monk doesn't kind of get caught in all these various obstructions, then their practice will take them to Nibbana. So in the same way, one kind of learns to cultivate these proximate causes, focusing and being happy in seeing these small changes until they start to lead to big ones. And one knows the right time when one should really start to focus to try to make bigger changes in one's life, bigger changes in one's practice. But all these things can grow naturally by having these proximate goals in mind and having these higher goals in mind and keeping them in the right proportion, the right balance. Okay, so thinking that, leave that for reflection and hope that everybody has a great day wherever it might be, and wishing you all the blessings of Dhamma practice. Pati Pati Saranai.